Aloha, friends and family, and welcome back to the channel. Next up on our Thus Spake series is the Holy Mother, Sri Saradamani Devi, the divine consort of Sri Ramakrishna, is known to millions of devotees as the Holy Mother. Born of poor but pious Brahmin parents on December 22nd, 1853, in an obscure village named Jaramambati in the district of Bankura, West Bengal, and bred in that simple country atmosphere. She was married to Sri Ramakrishna at the early age of 6. Wow, that is an early age indeed. Like many other incidents in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, his marriage too was remarkable. The Holy Mother had the chance of coming in close contact with Sri Ramakrishna about 1867, long after her marriage. Sri Ramakrishna did not neglect her, but took her under his tutelage, and by degrees lovingly imparted to her a thorough knowledge of human character and taught her how to live in complete resignation to God. He literally worshipped her as the Divine Mother, and saying that she and the Mother Kali in the temple were one and the same, awakened in her the sense of motherhood to all creatures. The account of her simple, austere life, self-effacement, and motherly love to one and all is unique and surpasses all examples. Her life was one long stillness of prayer and singleness of devotion. With her overflowing affection, the Holy Mother was an unfailing solace to all the troubled hearts that sought refuge at her feet for eternal peace and liberation from the worries and anxieties of worldly life. Men and women who approached her in season and out of season to be relieved of the extreme tension in their afflicted souls became recipients of her immortal blessings and sweet words of love and wisdom, which stilled the throbbing pains in their hearts forever. Her life was a synthetic embodiment of the perfect ideals of jnana, bhakti, and karma, which are rarely to be met with in such a harmonious blending anywhere else in the world. In her life of artless simplicity, purity, piety, and self-dedication, the modern Hindu has discovered the perfect ideal of womanhood held forth by his culture. She was unique in being the devoted wife, perfect sannyasini, affectionate mother, and ideal teacher in one. She was indeed Sri Ramakrishna's final word as to the ideal of Indian womanhood. After the passing away of Sri Ramakrishna, it was the Holy Mother who took upon herself the responsibility of looking after his spiritual children, and gradually the great Ramakrishna order grew up around her the Holy Mother entered into Mahasamadhi on July 20th, 1920 at Calcutta. A letter to the Holy Mother written by Sister Nivedita, Cambridge, Massachusetts, Sunday, December 11th, 1910. Beloved Mother, this morning early, I went to church to pray for Sarah. All the people there were thinking of Mary and Mother of Jesus, and suddenly I thought of you, your dear face, your loving look, and your white sari, and your bracelets. It was all there, and it seemed to me that yours was the presence that was to soothe and bless poor Sarah's sick room. And, do you know, I thought I had been very foolish to sit in your room at the evening service to Sri Ramakrishna trying to meditate. Why did I not understand that it was quite enough to be a little child at your dear feet? Dear Mother, you are full of love, and it is not a flushed and violent love like others and like the world's, but a gentle peace that brings good to everyone and wishes ill to none. It is a golden radiance, full of play. What a blessed Sunday that was a few months ago when I ran into you, the last thing before I went on the Ganges and ran back to you for a moment. As soon as I came back, I felt such a wonderful freedom in the blessing you gave me and in your welcome home. Dearest Mother, I wish we could send you a wonderful hymn or a prayer, but somehow even that would seem too loud, too full of noise. Surely you are the most wonderful thing of God, Sri Ramakrishna's own chalice of his love for the world, a token left with his children in these lonely days, and we should be very still and quiet before you, except indeed for a little fun. Surely the wonderful things of God are all quiet, stealing unnoticed into our lives, the air and the sunlight and the sweetness of gardens and of the Ganges. These are the silent things that are like you. Do send to poor Sarah the mantle of your peace. Isn't your thought now and then of the high calm that neither loves nor hates? Isn't that a sweet benediction that trembles in God like the dewdrop on the lotus leaf and touches not the world? Ever, my darling mother, your foolish kooky or baby, Nivedita. Divine grace. Question: when will the grace of God descend on me? There is no such rule that grace of God will fall on one simply because one is practicing austerities. In old days, the rishis practiced austerity for thousands of years, with their feet up and heads down, and a lighted fire burning under them. Even then, only some of them received the grace of God. Question: Mother, I have practiced austerity and japa so much, but I have not achieved anything. God is not like fish or vegetables that you can buy him for a price. Mother, I am coming to you so frequently, and I hope I have received your grace, but I do not feel anything. My child, suppose you are asleep on a bed, and someone removes you with the bed to another place. In that case, will you know immediately on waking that you have come to a new place? Not at all. Only after your drowsiness clears away completely, you will know that you have come to a new place. How does one get the vision of God? It is only through His grace. But one must practice meditation and japa that removes impurities from the mind. One must practice spiritual disciplines such as worship and so forth. As one gets the fragrance of a flower by handling it, or as one gets the smell of sandalwood by rubbing it against a stone, it is the same way one gets spiritual awakening by consistently thinking of God. Nothing can be achieved without His grace. We have practiced so much japa, we have observed so many spiritual disciplines, but nothing whatsoever is of much avail. How can anyone get liberation, excuse me, unless Mahamaya leaves the path open? O man, take refuge in God, take refuge in Him. Then alone Maya will be gracious and clear the way for liberation. It is only if one takes shelter in God, in Source, in the One, that one is saved. Hearing a disciple's letter full of despair, the Holy Mother said seriously and forcibly, "How is that possible? In the name of the Master, a trifle? Those who have come here and are thinking of the Master will certainly see their chosen ideal one day, if they are not able to do so during their lifetime. They will at least have his vision at the last moment before their death. Repeat the name of God always in the innermost core of your heart, and in all sincerity take refuge in the Master. Do not bother to know how your mind is reacting to things around. Do not waste time in calculating and worrying over whether or not you are progressing in the path of spirituality. It is ahamkara, vanity, to judge progress for oneself. Have faith in the grace of your Guru and Ishta. Be sincere in your practice, words, and deeds. You will feel blessed. His blessings are always showered on all creatures on the earth. It is needless to ask for it. Practice meditation sincerely, and you will understand His infinite grace. Source wants sincerity, truthfulness, and love. Outward verbal effusions do not touch Him. About God realization, the Holy Mother said, "Do you know, my child, what it is like? It is just like a candy in the hand of a child. Some people beg the child to part with it, but he does not care to give it to them. Still, he easily hands it over to another whom he likes. A man performs severe austerity and spiritual practices throughout his life to realize God, but he does not succeed, whereas another man gets his realization practically without any effort. It depends upon the grace of God. He bestows his grace upon anyone he likes. Grace is the important thing. And I would say there, God is not a respecter of persons. So it's not that he likes some and doesn't like others, but we could say he may like your practice and not like someone else's practice, because perhaps their practice is rooted in distortion or idolatry or what have you. So it really, grace, I would say yes, but that is like, the cosmic law. It's unchanging. It doesn't change. The only thing that's changing is the humans, the avatars. And so based on how integrated your spirit and your avatar or your human is, and how integrated your higher consciousness and the mind of your man is, that's going to be the determining factor. He who has really prayed to the Lord even once has nothing to fear. By praying to him constantly, one gets prima bhakti, ecstatic love through his grace. This prima, my child, is the innermost thing of a spiritual life. The Gopas of Vrindavan attained it. They were not aware of anything else in the world excepting Sri Krishna. The Kundalini will be gradually awakened. You will realize everything by the repetition of God's name. Even if the mind is not quiet, still you can sit and repeat the holy name 1,000,000 times. Before the awakening of the Kundalini, one hears the Anhara sound, but nothing can be achieved without the grace of the Divine Mother. Everybody, and see the the Divine Mother is really that third part of the triangle or the Trinity. Christianity calls it the Holy Spirit, and I'm just saying cosmic consciousness because it is that as well. Everybody says regretfully, there is so much misery in this world. We have prayed so much to God, but still there is no end of misery. But misery is only the gift of God. It is the symbol of his compassion. The grace of God is the thing that is needful. One should pray for the grace of God. There is no happiness whatever in human birth. The world is verily filled with misery. Happiness here is only a name. He on whom the grace of the Master has fallen alone knows him to be God himself. And remember, that is the only happiness. So basically she's saying, to know that I am within yourself is the only happiness. Knowing that you and the Father are one. You see, it is the nature of water to flow downwards, but the sun's rays lift it up towards the sky. Likewise, it is the very nature of mind to go to lower things, to objects of enjoyment, but the grace of God can make the mind go towards higher objects. Sri Ramakrishna. Really and truly, Sri Ramakrishna was God realized. He assumed this human body to remove the sorrows and sufferings of others. He moved about in disguise as a king walks through his city. He disappeared the moment he became known. You will gain everything if you will take refuge in the Master. Renunciation alone was his splendor. We take his name and eat and enjoy because he renounced all. How attached the Master was to truth. He used to say that truth alone is the austerity of the Kali Yuga, or Iron Age. One attains to God by sticking to truth. When the Master passed away, I also wanted to go. He appeared before me and said, "No, you must remain here. There are many things to be done." He said that he would live for 300 years in the subtle body and the hearts of the devotees. Sri Ramakrishna left me behind to manifest the motherhood of God to the world. Question: can you call Sri Ramakrishna your father? Yes, he is my father, my mother, my brother, and my friend. He is my all. If you pray to him constantly before his picture, then he manifests himself through that picture. The place where that picture is kept becomes a shrine. The easiest and best way of solving the problem of life is to take the name of God, of Sri Ramakrishna, in silence. Rely on Sri Ramakrishna, and he will save you from your misery and bestow on you peace of mind. Take the name of the Lord and contemplate on the great sufferings Sri Ramakrishna had to undergo to take upon himself the results of bad karma of others, and then you will find that your body and mind are purified. Your grief and misery will pale into insignificance if you will only remember how Sri Ramakrishna, though absolutely pure and of divine origin, suffered for the sake of others, and yet did not miss, even for a moment, his ecstatic joy and blissful contemplation of the Divine Mother. He was the embodiment of bliss itself. All the 24 hours of the day were devoted to devotional music, merriment, laughter, teaching, and storytelling. So far as I remember, I never saw him worried for anything. Does the Master really partake of the food that you offer to him? Yes, he does. A light comes out of his eyes and licks all the articles of food. He eats the food offering only for the gratification of the devotees. The sacred prasada purifies the heart. The mind becomes impure if one eats food without offering it first to God. There is no need to follow rituals in offering food to the Master. The mantra one gets from one's guru is enough for everything. The Master used to advise his devotees to refrain from shraddha, food, for such food is detrimental to bhakti. With the exception of that, you can take any food after offering it to the Lord. The Master will be your protector. You will live. There's a little note here at the bottom. Food offered to the manes, manes. So I guess that's the kind of food that they don't take. Food that's offered to the manes, and I'm not sure what that is. The Master will be your protector. You will live depending on him. Let him do good to you if he so desires, or let him drown you if that be his will. But you are to do only what is righteous, and that also according to the power he has given you. It never seemed to me that he had practiced the different religions with any definite motive of preaching the harmony of religions. Day and night he remained overwhelmed with the ecstatic thought of God. He enjoyed the sport of the divine by practicing spiritual disciplines, following the paths of the Vaishnavas, Christians, Muslims, and the rest. But it seems to me, my child, that the special feature of the Master's life is renunciation. Has anyone ever seen such a natural renunciation? Renunciation was his ornament. Sri Ramakrishna was a perfect soul. Certainly one can be freed from sin by confessing it to one like him. The Master did not come to destroy anything. He only came to fulfill. And see, we hear that again echoed in the Bible about Jesus. He didn't come to destroy, but to fulfill. So, with all these masters, with all these righteous, enlightened, self-realized people, there's kind of that recurring theme, that they can help you. See, they're not saving you. They're simply giving you the tools of understanding, and that's what saves you. But see, you had to take the tools. You have to implement the tools. You have to do the work, do the building, do the constructing. And that very act of that doing, that's what saves you. Now you could say they saved us. They sort of saved us, because without that knowledge and without your action and without your building, you would have remained lost and in the cycle of reincarnation. But it's wonderful to be clear on that aspect, that it's not Jesus saving you, it's not Krishna saving you, it's not Muhammad saving you. It's no human that's personally saving you. It is you saving you by seeking out the people that had the knowledge, had the wisdom, understood the cosmic laws. And by receiving their teaching, you grow your human brain up to a level that, you get that moment where you say, oh, I get it now. I get it now. And that's what's so beautiful. That's where we're at. That's where a lot of people are coming to themselves. They're realizing that it is, idolatry to be worshiping humans. So we're going to stop for today on that one. Hope you enjoyed the squirrelies. They're out here having a good time. Absolutely gorgeous. I could walk you around and show you the clematis that are in bloom and various other azaleas and stuff. It's just absolutely gorgeous, but it doesn't transfer well in pictures or on a phone. You have to be in the garden itself to really to have it do justice. And it's always good to contemplate when you get something. Like when something hits your mind or hits your heart or your spirit or your soul, and you're like, oh wow, I see that. And it's always good to get quiet right there. That if you at some point, if you can't do it right then and there, but like meditate on that, contemplate that, sit in silence with that, and then of course the great creator will add to that and bring even more clarity to that. And that's when we root and ground it into the vessel. And it's astounding to me, how much progress one makes. Again, when you get to the unity consciousness and you fully understand now that your spirit and your flesh are becoming one. You and God are already one. Always have been, always will be. But your spirit, your higher self, and your egoic lower human, or the human without all that, is really limited. Really, really limited. But understanding this integration, that the two are becoming one, you really start to make some serious progress, and you you really start to understand the powers of God, and you start to gain access to those powers. See, the powers aren't just given willy-nilly to whoever, and it's not your will alone that causes the power to work. The power works through the unity, through the union of your spirit and your flesh becoming one. And there's no doubt that it works, and you really start to see and feel and know progress. The more and more you understand the integration process, and you start, checking, taking note of how far along in your integration process are you. And the further along you get, the more difficult it is to use words to explain things about it, because you just end up at amazing or wonderful or blissful, or that's why they used all those kind of words. Bliss, they were in a state of bliss. It's not that they were bombed out of their minds because they were just so, like it was some kind of a drug induced high or something. It's not that. Bliss really is just a state of complete peace, a completely unified, balanced state of peace. um, and you just maintain that bliss, and it's wonderful to feel. Let's say you've never felt bliss, just to feel it for 10 minutes or be in it for an hour is amazing. But imagine sustaining yourself in a state of bliss continually, like the Holy Mother there was talking about. The Master was in a state of bliss. Really amazing. Really wonderful. We'll leave it there for this one, my friends and family. We leave you in the love and the light of the infinite Creator. Until next time.